At this time, I'd like to call on my good friend, Unite Here Vice President MariaElenaDurazo, to talk about labor movement's immigration and citizenship agenda. Maria Elena.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. I was born and raised in California's Central Valley, a place social scientists call the Appalachia of the West. I was one of 11 in a migrant farm worker family. We picked your food all day just to buy our food for the next day. I always knew there was something wrong. No matter how hard we worked, from sunup to sundown, we still slept on the back of our flatbed truck. We remained invisible. We live in a time when people look at their phones more than they look at one another. Pope Francis put it so profoundly, when the economy loses contact with the faces of the people, it becomes faceless and ruthless. I have looked at the faces of immigrants who walked across the desert to get to the U.S., then walked door to door talking to neighbors in a political campaign, and finally walk into her own polling place to vote. The refugee from violence and deprivation who jumped onto a freight train, who was confronted by thieves, who carried his child, who went without food, who walked through the nights, who didn't know a soul, who couldn't speak the language, who started as a day laborer and then washed cars and then dishes and joined our union and became a leader where he worked, an activist where he lived, a citizen whose vote changed California. And it's how my union turned Nevada into a state that rejected Donald Trump and elected the first Latina to the United States Senate. And it's how immigrants won their first union contract at Trump's hotel in Las Vegas. A few years ago, we decided to bring the California story to Arizona. Hotel housekeepers and airport food service workers, immigrants from Mexico and North Africa, they asked us to show them how to get rid of Sheriff Joe Arpaio. We did. We taught them. We empowered them. We call that campaign Adios Arpaio, and now he's gone. Immigrants understand that unions are for things we can't do alone. They understand collective action makes them equal with the boss. Not a single farm worker who has a union contract has died of heat because their collective bargaining agreement gives them the right to stand up for themselves and not wait for a government inspector who never shows up. Not a single meatpacking house worker who has a UFCW contract has been a victim of wage theft. Their collective bargaining agreement gives them the right to get their money. Not a single undocumented worker in the painters union is denied health insurance because those workers have the only papers that matter, a good union contract. It's wrong that dreamers are threatened with deportation when all they have done wrong is go to school and go to work. It's wrong that veterans of the United States military are being deported. It's wrong that workers who complain about wage theft are subjected to ICE raids when they seek justice in the state labor commissioner's offices. It is wrong to take away the temporary protected status to almost 500,000 Haitians and Central Americans. If Americans accept what the hard work of immigrants brings, if we eat the food they harvest, the meals they cook, and eat off the dishes they wash, if we sleep in the hotel rooms they clean and walk on the cement they pour, drive the cars they wash, recycle the cans and bottles that they sort, then we must accept them as our own, as our sisters and brothers. Our labor movement must join with churches and community partners to fight for humane immigration laws. And we must forever resist the unconstitutional orders of Donald Trump. When we disobey those orders, we aren't protesters, we're patriots. When we march and sit in and sit down or strike, we honor Dr. King. We honor Cesar Chavez. Labor's voice must be heard loud and clear and now. Sisters and brothers, as we strive to do good in the world, let us never forget the most good comes for the most people when we empower them to do good for themselves. Si se puede. Thank you very much.